Good evening, friends, fiends, and night owl supremes. Welcome to A Bit Late, where tonight we are reading the fairy tale Riquet the Tuft, or Riquet with the Tuft. There's quite a few names for the same story, but I have tonight some grapefruit tea, which I've of course added some ginger to, and hibiscus as well, so it's pretty powerful, very summery, very flavorful, kind of overpoweringly so, but do get your own coffee or tea. Summon your animal familiars about you, get comfy, cozy, ensconce yourself in pillows and blankets, and do get ready to put your mind at ease with tonight's fairy tale, Riquet with the Tuft. Once upon a time there was a queen who was brought to bed of a son so ugly and so ill-shaped that it was for a long time doubtful if he possessed a human form. And that's terrible. That's really bad. Also, I like how they say, brought to bed of a son. Wow. Interesting way of phrasing that. Anyway, this child is not quite what the humans are used to. A fairy who was present at his birth affirmed that he would not fail to be amiable, as he would have much good sense. Well, that's good. She added even that he would be able, in consequence of the gifts she had endowed him with, to impart equal intelligence to the person he should love best. Aww. All this consoled the poor queen a little, who was much distressed at having brought into the world so hideous a little child. It is true that the child was no sooner able to speak than he said 1,000 pretty things, and that there was in all his actions an indescribable air of intelligence which charmed one. What a charmer. I had forgotten to say that he was born with a little tuft of hair on his head, which occasioned him to be named Riquet with the Tuft, for Riquet was the family name. At the end of 7 or 8 years, the queen of a neighboring kingdom was brought to bed of 2 daughters. Brought to bed. The first that came into the world was fairer than day. The queen was so delighted that it was feared her great joy would prove hurtful to her. What? The same fairy who had assisted at the birth of little Riquet with the Tuft was present upon this occasion. I love how fairies are called into births. I just love this. And to moderate the joy of the queen, she declared to her that this little princess would have no mental capacity. Oh no. And she would be as stupid as she was beautiful. Fairies, bringing justice to the world with gifts bestowed at birth. This mortified the queen exceedingly, but a few minutes afterward she experienced a very much greater annoyance, for the second girl she gave birth to proved to be extremely ugly. She's giving birth, she's in labor, and she had another annoyance. Like, I love how this story just sort of is like, she was annoyed, not, oh my gosh, this is a big life event, but she was a little vexed that her second daughter was not pretty. "Do not distress yourself so much, madam," the fairy said to her. "Your daughter will find compensation. She will have so much sense that her lack of beauty will scarcely be perceived. She's just like little Riquet. They would be so good together." But I feel like the story is, you know how the story's gonna go already. Man. "Heaven send it may be so," replied the queen. "But are there no means of giving a little sense to the eldest who is so lovely?" "I can do nothing for her, madame, in the way of wit," said the fairy. "Yes, you can. But everything in that of beauty, and there is nothing in my power that I would not do to gratify you. I will endow her with the ability to render beautiful the person who shall please her." Oh, I sense a match. Poor second daughter, though. Like, things are not working out. As these 2 princesses grew up, their endowments increased in the same proportion, and nothing was talked of anywhere but the beauty of the eldest and the intelligence of the youngest. It is true that their defects also greatly increased with the years. It's a kind way of putting it. The youngest became uglier every instant, and the eldest more stupid each day. Oh. She either made no answer when she was spoken to, or she said something foolish. Come on now. With this, she was so awkward that she could not stack 4 plates on a mantel shelf without breaking one of them. How does that have anything to do with wit? Nor drink a glass of water without spilling half of it on her dress. Oh boy. Notwithstanding the great advantage of beauty to a girl, great, The youngest bore away the palm from her sister nearly always in every society. At first they gathered round the handsomest to gaze at and admire her, but they soon left her for the wittiest to listen to 1,000 agreeable things. And people were astonished to find that, in less than a quarter of an hour, the eldest had no soul near her, and all that company had formed a circle round the youngest. Heck yeah. The former, though very stupid, noticed this, and would have given without regret all her beauty for half the sense of her sister. I can only blame the fairy, really. The queen, discreet as she was, could not help reproaching her frequently for her folly, which made the poor princess ready to die of grief. Poor girl, your mom knows that this is a thing that cannot be helped. Oh. One day she had withdrawn into a wood to bewail her misfortune. She saw a little man approach her of a most disagreeable appearance, but dressed very magnificently. It was the young Prince Riquet with the Tuft, who, having fallen in love with her from seeing her portraits, which were sent all around the world, had quitted his father's kingdom to have the pleasure of beholding and speaking to her. Enchanted to meet her thus alone, he accosted her with all the respect and politeness imaginable. Having remarked, after paying the usual compliments, that she was very melancholy, he said to her, "I cannot comprehend, madam, how a person so beautiful as you are can be so sad as you appear. For though I may boast of having seen an infinity of lovely women, I can avouch that I have never beheld one whose beauty could be compared to yours." "You are pleased to say so, sir," replied the princess, and there she stopped. "Beauty," continued Riquet, "is so great an advantage that it ought to surpass all others." "What? No way." "And when one possesses it, I do not see anything that could very much distress you." "I had rather," said the princess, "be as ugly as you and have good sense than possess the beauty I do and be as stupid as I am." Oh my god. Way to insult him at the same time. "There is no greater proof of good sense, madam, than the belief that we have it not. It is the nature of that gift that the more we have, the more we believe we are deficient of it." "I do not know how that may be," said the princess, "but I know well enough that I am very stupid, probably because your mom tells you all the time, gosh, and that it is the cause of the grief which is killing me." "If that is all that affects you, madam, I can easily put an end to your sorrow." "And how would you do that?" said the princess. "First of all, this seems like a very intelligent conversation. I thought she was not supposed to be able to do anything, but she's speaking rather well. Good for her." Anyway, Riquet has a solution. "I have the power, madam," said Riquet with the Tuft, "to give as much wit as anyone can possess to the person I love the most. And as you, madam, are that person," that was fast, "it will depend entirely upon yourself whether or not you will have so much wit, provided that you are willing to marry me." The princess was thunderstruck and replied not a word. "I see," said Riquet with the Tuft, "that this proposal pains you, and I am not surprised at it, but I give you a full year to consider it." Cool. I'm guessing her mom never told her that she had the power to change the appearance of the one that she loved as well, which is really shallow. Anyway, the princess had so little sense and at the same time was anxious to have a great deal that she thought the end of the year would never come, so she accepted at once the offer that was made her. She had no sooner promised Riquet with the Tuft that she would marry him that day 12 months than she felt herself to be quite another person to what she was previously. She found she possessed an incredible facility of saying anything she wished and saying it in a shrewd yet easy and natural manner. She commenced on the instant and kept up a sprightly conversation with Riquet with the Tuft, during which she chatted away at such a rate that Riquet with the Tuft began to believe he had given her more wit than he had kept for himself. Oh, buddy. When she returned to the palace, the whole court was puzzled to account for a change so sudden and extraordinary, for in proportion to the number of foolish things that they had heard her say formerly were the sensible and exceedingly clever observations she now gave utterance to. I want to hear what they are. I want to know. We're just describing it, but I want to know. All the court was in a state of joy which is not to be conceived. The younger sister alone was not very much pleased, I can imagine, as no longer possessing over her elder sister the advantage of wit, she now only appeared by her side as a very disagreeable-looking person. Oh, poor lady. The king was now led by his eldest daughter's advice and sometimes even held his counsel in her apartment. Wow, fancy that. The news of this alteration had spread abroad, and all the young princes of the neighboring kingdoms exerted themselves to obtain her affection, and nearly all of them asked her hand in marriage. But she found none of them sufficiently intelligent, and she listened to all of them without engaging herself to any one. The story is interesting. It's kind of weird, like she's intelligent because she made a decision when she didn't have all her quote-unquote facility about her. I don't know, and it's weird because what it prizes is beauty and intelligence, but only together, right? Poor little sister, poor Ricky, he has to change the way he looks so far if he's gonna be with this lady. I don't know. We'll just see how this story goes. At length arrived a prince so rich, so witty, and so handsome that she could not help feeling an inclination for him. An inclination, that's what we're calling it now. Her father, having perceived this, told her that he left her at perfect liberty to choose a husband for herself, and that she had only to make known her decision. As the more sense we possess, the more difficulty we find in making up one's mind positively on such a matter, she requested, after having thanked her father, that he would allow her some more time to think of it. She went by chance to walk in the same wood where she had met with Riquet with the Tuft, in order to ponder with greater freedom on what she had to do. While she was walking, deep in thought, she heard a dull sound beneath her feet, as of many persons running to and fro and busily occupied. Having listened more attentively, she heard one say, "Bring me the saucepan," another, "Give me that kettle," another, "Put some wood on the fire." And at the same moment the ground opened, and she saw beneath her what appeared to be a large kitchen, full of cooks, scullions, and all sorts of servants necessary for the preparation of a magnificent banquet. Delicious. There came forth a band from 20 to 30 cooks who went and established themselves in an avenue of the wood at a very long table, and who, each with a larding pin in hand and the queue de la renard behind the ear, set to work, keeping time to a melodious song. The princess, astonished at the sight, inquired for whom they were working. "Madame," replied the most prominent of the troupe, "for Prince Riquet with the Tuft, whose marriage will take place tomorrow." Oh boy, yay. The princess, still more surprised than she was before, and suddenly recollecting that it was just a 12-month from the day on which she had promised to marry Riquet with the Tuft, was lost in amazement. Whoa. For all that newfound wit, she couldn't remember the bargain that made it all possible. That doesn't track. Just saying. The cause of her not having remembered her promise was that she made it when she was a fool, and on receiving her new mind, she forgot all her follies. But then how did she know anybody from her past life? Because she made follies with probably every one of them. Oh boy. Maybe it works. It's fairy tale logic. We're gonna roll with it. Okie doke. She had not taken 30 steps in continuation of her walk when Riquet with the Tuft presented himself before her, gallantly and magnificently attired, like a prince about to be married, which he is. "You see, madame," he said, "I keep my word punctually, and I doubt not but that you have come hither to keep yours, and to make me, by the gift of your hand, the happiest of men." "I confess to you frankly," replied the princess, "that I have not yet made up my mind on that matter, and that I do not think I shall ever be able to do so to your satisfaction." "You already did." "You astonish me, madame," said Riquet with the Tuft. "I have no doubt that I do," said the princess, "and assuredly, had I to deal with a stupid person, a man without a mind, I should feel greatly embarrassed. 'A princess is bound by her word,' he would say to me, 'and you must marry me as you have promised to do so.' But as the person to whom I speak is the most sensible man in the world, I am certain he will listen to reason. You know that, when I was no better than a fool, I nevertheless could not resolve to marry you. How can you expect, now that I have the sense of which you have given me, great, and which renders me much more difficult to please than before, that I should take a resolution today which I could not do then? If you seriously thought of marrying me, you did very wrong to take away my stupidity, oh my gosh, and enable me to see more clearer than I saw then. I mean, she's not wrong, right? But this story is weird. If a man without sense, replied Riquet with the Tuft, should meet with some indulgence as you have just intimated, and he had to reproach you for your breach of promise, why would you, madame, that I should not be equally so in the matter which affects the entire happiness of my life? Is it reasonable that persons of intellect should be in a worse condition than those who have none? Can you assert this, you who have so much and have so earnestly desired to possess it? But let us come to the point, if you please. With the exception of my ugliness, is there anything in me that displeases you? Are you dissatisfied with my birth, my understanding, my temper, or my manners? Now we come to it. Not in the least, replied the princess. I admire you in everything you have mentioned. If so, rejoined Riquet with the Tuft, I shall be happy, as you have in it your power to make me the most agreeable of men. How does he know this? She doesn't know this, the mother knows it. How can that be done? Said the princess. Right? It can be done, said Riquet with the Tuft, if you love me sufficiently to wish that it should be. Oh, it's not a real power. Well, I mean, it is, but in real life it's not. Right? And in order, madame, that you should have no doubt about it, know that the same fairy who, on the day I was born, endowed me with the power to give understanding to the person I chose, gave you also the power to render handsome the man you should love, and on whom you are desirous to bestow that favor. How does he know this when she doesn't know this? If such be the fact, said the princess, I wish with all my heart that you should become the handsomest prince in the world, and I bestow the gift on you to the fullest extent in my power. Cool, you should probably have checked with your mom first to see if he wasn't just spinning that. Anyway, The princess had no sooner pronounced these words than Riquet with the Tuft appeared to her eyes, of all men in the world, the handsomest, the best made, and the most amiable she had ever seen. This moral is confusing. There are some who assert that it was not the spell of the fairy, but love alone that caused this metamorphosis. They say that the princess, having reflected on the perseverance of her lover, on his prudence and all the good qualities of his heart and mind, no longer saw the deformity of his body nor the ugliness of his features, that his hunch appeared to her nothing more than the effect of a man shrugging his shoulders, and that instead of observing, as she had done, that he limped horribly, she saw in him no more than a certain lounging air, which charmed her. However this may be, the princess promised on the spot to marry him, provided that he obtained the consent of the king, her father. The king, having learned that his daughter entertained a great regard for Riquet with the Tuft, whom he knew also to be a very clever and wise prince, accepted him with pleasure for a son-in-law. The wedding took place the next morning, as Riquet with the Tuft had foreseen, or made happen, and according to the instructions which he had given a long time before, no beauty, no talent has power above, some indefinite charm discerned only by love. The end of this story for Riquet with the Tuft and the beautiful princess. I want to know what happened to the younger princess though. The story just forgets about her. She's not important. She's not even a footnote. And there is a footnote in this story, but it's not about her. I want to know what happened to her. Yeah, if you know, let me know in the comments below, or we can make up our own story about her too. That would be cool. But anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this weird moral of a fairy tale, weird morality fairy tale. I'm not sure. It's interesting and it's insightful to the times, but I hope it distracted you if you're not having a great night or day, or that it kept you company for whatever you're working on, or if you're just chilling with some cats, that's really cool too, or any animal familiars. But now, off to sleep and dream what you will, or stay a while and enjoy another tale. Whichever you choose, I'll speak to you again, and until then, stay spooky, my friends. Good night.